never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and want
Nice.
Where did it go?
That's a different song.
No, AEZ intro. All right. Sorry, Connor. You got to clip all that too.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
That wasn't it. Welcome. AEZ's in the house. The boys are back. A little overwhelmed, a little tired, but we're rocking. In this free world, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Tank Diggs in the house.
Oh, what's going on, boys? How's everybody
What's going
doing?
on?
Maddie, talk to him.
What's going on, boys? We're back again. It's a little hot, a little warm today. We have the hottest day of the year, and it's right at the end of summer. Better late than never, right?
Yes, definitely. Our American listeners obviously assume that we're covered in snow all year round, but let me tell you, we got to 32. You figure out what the Fahrenheit is, all right? You figure that out. We got Justin.
What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna start this a bit different. We're gonna start the show doing a toast. I want to toast to the AEW career of one Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk, aka Pepsi Phil. So everyone get their glasses up. I mean, I'm gonna go plastic because we all know that Phil doesn't like real glass. And cheers.
Cheers, boys.
To a
May he
career
rest in peace.
that we hardly knew.
Didn't happen to a better guy.
So
Super nice.
Billy Phil, you cancer, stay away, got fired.
Yeah, you know what I always found funny? Like when he was off screen and he was doing like the stuff for Fox, and in the in between, we'll call it, and Brian was still dealing with concussion issues, and I never knew if he was coming back. Nobody knew if he was coming back, obviously. But I was always saying to myself and to my friends, like, if another federation or whatever the fuck you want to call it, league, could somehow get Punk back and get Daniel Bryanson out of medical abyss and like put him into an actual federation, like they could really give WWE a run for their money. And I waited so long, and Punk finally came back, and by the grace of whoever, Daniel Bryanson comes back as well. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And now probably the worst thing that happened to that company was old championship material Punk over there. It's so funny how like I was wishing for him, and now it's like, thank God he's gone.
Isn't that amazing that there's such a, we waited so long and we read all of his crap outside. Like I read his comic books. I watched his horrible horror movies. I mean, I still wanted CM Punk to come back and do it right. And
I mean, I cheered for his UFC fights and watched him get destroyed in like 39 seconds, and we all just hope for the best.
so is this just another accolade of failed Phil? I mean, no. He gets into a scrap with Jungle Boy, and they posted recently him on commentary talking about Jungle Boy, and he said something like, if anyone has a problem with Jungle Boy, they're the problem. He forecasted it himself. Now, we've had people like Brian Pillman in the industry. We've had people like Rick Rude in the industry. And we saw CM Punk on suspension go to WWE. And what if it was all on purpose? What if it was to really get fired and get a good couple more matches and paydays in WWE's pocket? Because we know he plays controlled in a WWE room. Could we see a Kevin Steen versus Punk? Could we see a Cody? Now, the real question is, do we want to see it?
Absolutely not. I think WWE has so much goodwill going for it right now. There's not a lot of negativity from a fan's perspective. Like everyone watching it seems to enjoy the show for the most part. I don't think they need potential for fans to turn on WWE right now when it's probably the hottest it's been in 10 to 15 years.
But
Yeah.
we also heard the crowd respond to Cody when AEW crowd took him for granted, didn't appreciate the craft he was building, and they pushed him out to go get put over by everybody. Whoa! You know what I mean? It's only smoke and mirrors, boys.
I'm personally, I'm done. From someone who's watched AEW right from day one, and watching the guys that want to be there, the talent that's come up, the guys who had worked together, scraped by, worked together in the indies, waited their turn, and then for someone like him to come in and be like, "Hey, I'm all about the business. I'm all about the fans." Stir shit. I mean, no, you don't hear about this other stuff. Like it gets to the point where I'm like, it's irritating because there's something that's good. There's good chemistry, and going in there and being a cancer. They gave him once, gave him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, let's bring back. You do it twice. The guy's like, how old? Like you're not a teenager. What is the problem? That you can't have, even if there's disagreements, why can't you have a normal disagreement like a normal businessman your age? Why does it always have to turn into a physical fight and words and have to be the bigger man? And so it's irritating. I think people were done. They don't want to see that. They don't want to hear that. We want to watch a good product. We've watched these guys. We've got guys who are busting their asses and are working well together. And then he comes in and just kind of takes over and destroys it. So I think it'd be crazy if WWE would want to even touch that. Because who's he going to take direction from? Because I think it's a very different WWE than when he was there. I think it's even tighter, the way it's stricter, storylines, who's in charge, process. I mean, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But he's going to go in there and be like, oh, no, you do this. Like you have, and it's not going to be for him. And they don't want it. It's going to disrupt the talent that, the WWE is trying to create, and they have a good control over. They're not going to let someone like that in and shake the boat. But for ratings, what kind of ratings? They're already getting good ratings. Things are already picking up for them. They don't need it. That's just my 2 cents.
But as we say in the wrestling business, never say never.
True.
Stranger people have shown up to WWE that we wouldn't have expected in the past. Bret Hart was like, just the announcement alone, we couldn't believe he was actually going to go make money from Vince.
But there's a different level of respect, though, right? There's a different level of respect. Bret Hart is all about the business. He came from a wrestling family. It's all tradition. So I think people really thought that Bret got screwed, whether it was fake or real or a job or whatever work. It ended up, and people really respected him. They still respect him. They respect the family. So I think that was bigger for Bret Hart to come back, especially Owen passing and all the kind of crap that happened within the Hart family. But so I get it more than I'd see Punk.
As for Punk in AEW in his time, in his tenure, what matches are we going to actually remember? I mean, the dog collar match is really a good, I think that's the only one that really got over. Now, I know our boy loves to argue the Ricky Starks, but I'm going to just say the American Dragon just put over Ricky Starks bigger with one fucking arm than Punk did. Ricky will be a conversation for the future on this episode, but let's start right in on Dynamite. We knew the announcement that Orange Cassidy was facing Penta. What a thought to see from a match. I like it. We start with Moxley and Commander. It was exactly what we thought it was. I like seeing Mox work a lot more with the other guys. I mean, wasn't too much of a match, but getting him to really highlight against him gets a rub. That's a good thing. We run through a lot of promo work. You got the announcement on the 8-man tag for All Out. You've got Tony Storm backstage. Then you got the Greatest Jericho come out, argue with Sammy. That's fun, but that's saved. The way the show breaks down is very interesting this week because there's two things happening in this AEW universe. You've got what's going to be on All Out and what's going to be future storyline. So it chops up throughout, but they really give you a lot of the build up for All Out.
Yeah, they need the platform. They only had a week. They only had like a week to really promote it. So I can see why they want to use all the shows.
Yeah, like,
as promo
what was
platform.
actually set up before the show? Like, I think we knew we were gonna get Takeshita and Kenny. I think that was pretty much laid out.
And
like,
we
what else
kind
is
of led
really
enough.
laid out?
We had Hobbs and Miro kind of led up.
Darby and Luchasaurus was probably the main one.
Yes. I mean, the Mox and OC was really a quick one. But overall, it's a lot of promo work and builds into the future. You get a women's match. Of course, Statlander, Britt, and Sheeta got to put the girls over. Then you get the trios talk, and then you go straight to Orange Cassidy and Penta. What did you think of that match, Matt?
It's good. I like a lot of the chemistry. And that's what I'm talking about when you get the guys who've been there in AEW, and the way they work and they want to work together. And I think they have respect for each other, where I was starting to see that the Punk, it was different, right? Going back to Punk. But these guys, I love the way they work. They put each other over well. I think their styles complement each other. I mean, Penta I love it. He's one of my absolute favorite looks of a character I love it. He's amazing. If I could go as a Halloween costume, as a wrestler, Penta would be a great one to go. So yeah, always entertaining. These guys, work well together.
Penta is definitely one of my kids' favorite. He's kind of got the Mexican Undertaker feel for him.
Like that used like street slang in promos though that made me like laugh. It felt like so out of character. But he called them bro. This was hilarious. But also what I did love, especially the fact that they used Penta. First off, I would believe that Penta could win that match, no problem, and he'd make a great international champion because we haven't had Mexican representation on that belt yet. You can take it to CML, do matches there, or AAA, whichever one he's affiliated with. But, and I know you guys watched and I know you guys remember, they put over his arm breaker move heavy and Lucha Underground, where like the first 7 weeks of the show or whatever it was, he snapped everybody's arm and everybody was injured. Sure, they were all jobbers. But to have him specifically be the guy to work over the guy with the injured arm before facing Mox, I thought was a nice little touch.
Absolutely. Did he not break Io Sky or Io Shirai? Was she not the leader of the Black Lotus tribe and then he broke her arm in a match?
She was. I think Carly Singh was in there too. I think she was part of the group as well.
Yeah. Man, I've got the first season and I've watched it through with my son again recently, and I'm like, the second season gets so good.
It was such fun. It was a lot of fun.
What are you guys talking about? What? Second season of what?
Lucha Underground.
It was so much fun. So
you want to see what somebody like Angelico can really do? Watch some Lucha Underground.
You want to see Ricochet in his prime? Yeah, I said it. Prime. Prince Puma was a god.
I think WWE just uses him wrong. I'm not saying he could be exactly at Will's level or that level, but they were on the same trajectory, and somehow one went through the stratosphere and the other one's tag teaming with Braun Strowman. And I think there's so much more potential there. And he just needs to get used properly. Like we've seen what can happen when he gets used properly. He can be in the main event if you need him to.
Yeah, that's actually true. As we skip over Dynamite, we'll run into Rampage. Rampage was fun. It was booked differently. It was booked like it was a couple months back where it felt like there was a battle royal on every episode of Rampage. You want to put people on camera. You want to give them an opportunity to get their FaceTime and make their paychecks. A Rumble makes sense, and Rampage having it makes sense. So you got a tag team battle royal, and this would be who fights Adam Cole and MJF. Everybody's in it.
Not
Immediately,
everybody.
I'm having fun with
Not
it.
everybody. Not everybody.
There was one
you
team
want
where
in
I
it?
was like, how are they not in this match right now? I was stunned that they weren't in it.
Who's that?
The Kingdom.
Kingdom.
There's a reason for that. That's
All
who
right,
gets
well.
the titles.
If you're going to get to it, let's get to it.
No, it's got to stretch out. You got to build more people involved. You got to get everybody over. Strong has to be a top guy. That's where it goes. What if Strong was the one that took the title from MJF? What if he was the world champion of AEW?
No.
Oh, wow.
Just
Oh,
hear me.
absolutely not.
Hear me for a
No.
second. It's a crazy idea, but what has he done for the business?
Actually, he's been around for quite some time. I do love the Messiah of the backbreaker gimmick in general. Like, I'm not saying that there is the
In
potential for it
ring.
to be there, but I love how MJF called him the ex-girlfriend energy or however the hell he framed it.
With the Hello Kitty pillow, yeah. Do you
But
see his reactions? Like this is heat. This could be good. Build strong. I see something. He's in ring. He gets in the ring. There's nobody that can't go him. Like when he went at Jericho, he was the stronger man in that match.
Yeah, he'll easily do a half hour. And that'll be a great match, actually, MJF and Strong with the hurt neck, quote unquote.
Yes.
When is that happening? Did they announce a date for that?
No.
He's in the tournament. Roderick Strong is the winner of that tournament, so I'm assuming that Roderick Strong will win the tournament to face MJF at Grand Slam, but he has to win the tournament over the next couple weeks first.
Okay.
That's fast tracking. Oh, that could actually happen.
It's also a little telegraphing, too. Like, now you're not expecting Roddy to get through the tournament winning.
Yep.
I would like it.
Well,
Using the kingdom all the way.
Kind of takes the excitement of who's going to win out of this tournament when you're setting up a storyline through it.
And what if Cole super kicks MJF for Strong to get the win?
That'd be great, too.
Well, come on, this all makes sense. He's already leading the kingdom. They're already a badass team. You give it a pay-per-view. What's the next one coming, Justin?
Wrestle Dream.
Wrestle Dream?
Oh, it won't happen at Wrestle Dream. What's
What
coming
the fuck
on
is
the
Wrestle
week after
Dream?
that?
Well, the month after that, we full. Wait, week after that, it'd be like a month later. It's Full Gear.
Is it Full Gear?
Like a month later, though. But yeah, the next one after that's Full Gear.
Man,
Do we
there's
know
a
when
lot of
Ryan O'Reilly? When's O'Reilly back?
I saw something about 2 months back, and it was multiple setbacks, and it pushed his timetable out further, but no expected date.
I think Kyle O'Reilly kind of has the Randy Orton thing going on, where some people say Randy Orton could be back next week, or some people are saying Randy Orton could be back never. There's talk that Kyle O'Reilly is kind of in the same boat, where he can be cleared at any time, or he might never be cleared again.
That's crazy. He fit great in the storyline, obviously.
Oh, he'd fit in this. But to get to that tag team match, the Battle Royal kicks, and we end up seeing Reynolds and Silver win. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't. There's too many teams in there that I was expecting that's not one of them. I'm okay with it. I know Justin was screaming for the Outrunners.
I mean, to be honest, I actually thought when you saw the names there, I literally thought the only name they were going to do was the Hardys. So any name at that point would have shocked me, to be honest.
It's true. It's true. The rest of this show gives us future AEW stars in action. You get a Kip Sabian and Gringo Loco versus El Hero del Vikingo and Nick Wayne. Like GCW
No.
on lease to AEW for this match, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I like how AEW puts the big guys in big matches, because the next match is probably the only reason I jumped to watch Rampage, and that's Hangman Adam Page and Brian Keith. I see them as a tag team. I see it. It works. The Cowboys. Yes. Smoking Guns 2.0. It's Brian Keith and Hangman Adam Page. Give them this matching tights. Give them a song. That makes them a tag team, and let's go. That's some cowboy shit.
Do you guys know this Brian Keith character? I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, he's a bounty. He's a character. He's a bounty hunter. He's really good.
Other than that, are you familiar with his work? Is he a good promo guy? Like, what's his deal?
Promos
really good.
We don't really get too much for promos, but match work, he's nuts. He's awesome.
He's really good.
I'd rather see like a Kane Undertaker kind of eternal feud between the bounty hunter and the cowboy then, if that's the deal.
But that's the thing, is this was all the match we're gonna get. I don't know. I just want him on TV more. This probably will be the case, because you get him on Rampage and the crowd looks at him. Gets those looks, man. That's good for the guys too.
Yeah.
You end up finishing with main event Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale versus Taya and Anna Jay. I think that AEW is doing what we asked them to do. I'm not sick of it. Ending with a women's match doesn't hurt my soul. You watch a badass match and then you get the softening of a women's match at times. It's a good go out. Am I wrong here?
Well, you know what would make it even better if it was for the women's tag team championship.
Yes. Do you know what? You've convinced
It's coming. It's coming, guys.
So this,
Guys,
let's go
I
back
hate to
on
play
the titles, because it's a trending topic for us. I was thinking about this and how much some people get bothered by ROH titles on an AEW pay-per-view. I think Urai's the big fan of that. Are you, Justin? You don't like that?
I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I would prefer it not to, because they clearly have an ROH TV show and separate ROH pay-per-views for a reason. But the fact is, you have the ROH titles on, for the most part, on your main stars you're going to have on Dynamite anyways, so it doesn't make sense to not have them on it, really.
So, the thought I had, and I was thinking about this listening to Aussie Open on Talk is Jericho, and they defended the strong titles on a New Japan pay-per-view. And the exact same statement is there. Is it really that bad? It's another title. It's another show. They're just bringing it on. I don't know if it's because it's the developmental and they have a pay-per-view, but New Japan Strong has its own pay-per-view. So it's like titles are everywhere. I'm here for it. I love Eddie's got one, so it's all good.
You know, it's in this day and age too. It's kind of like the if you think about it, is it really much different than what the NWA used to be with the territories? There was agreements between them. They'd move around talent to help each other out. They agreed on a champion. So and then everything kind of ceased when WWE took over. But now with all the different platforms and the marketing, everyone's smart enough to know that cross marketing works, right? And because you don't usually see that, now you're seeing something that's special. Like, wow, those titles are on this show. And it just almost brings another element, of excitement or legitimacy as well to the belts. And you're excited to see something different. So again, I like the minimal use, but don't start making where you only So, like, you can't have the ROH titles being defended only on AEW programming, because then what's the point of tuning into the ROH, right? Like, you really take those guys, but really push those shows. But I definitely, I get the cross promotions and it's marketing, right? And Tony Khan's a good marketing guy. He's got a good marketing team, and it's all about ratings and numbers, right? So I think we're going to continue to see more of it.
I mean, even if you look at WWE right now, I mean, Dominic has the NXT North American title, and Dominic's on that show 4 or 5 times a week on Raw. Like, Dom's all over that show.
See, they're doing it. See, I mean, WWE is also seeing the value of crossing over their own products.
Yeah.
Right? I've definitely seen that more where they have. I just saw the other, like, they had the women's champion, NXT champion, whatever her name is. She was there talking with Becky Lynch. So they're introducing, right? So I don't mind the crossover.
Now, I think I go back in the old brain and get the hamster spinning the wheel.
Careful, it's a dangerous spot.
Yeah. Triple H said that. He said, when asked about his NXT when it was at its hottest, and they're talking about drafting up guys, he goes, in the future, I see WWE stars showing up on NXT going here, and it being a crossing show. That's called long ago, so it kind of works. All in all, I really liked how this week was set up. I mean, promo huge on Dynamite. I'd like to see the call time on wrestling numbers there. Rampage was full of fun. Then you jump over to Collision, and it was, let's set this pay-per-view up. So it goes all over the board, but you start with Tony Schiavone starting it with Absolute. Ricky Stark comes out, calls out the Dragon. Hell yes. Sign the contract. He signed the contract. The Dragon Steamboat takes the mic, says, you signed to fight the Dragon. People know me as the Dragon. But there is also this Dragon. And there he is. Oh, there's my fingers. Bryan Danielson is back. I did not expect it. I couldn't believe it. The way he was wrestling before the injury, he was like going to nether levels. That Okada was a next level match. He gets hurt. We're thinking, okay, he's not coming back. I mean, Wembley was last week. Where were you last week, Brian? But
that's what Nigel said when he came out. Now it's Nigel's comment. Oh, you had to wait a week.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but that sets up for Ricky versus Bryan Danielson in a bullwhip match. Bull rope. Strap. Bull rope strap. It's a strap match. What do you think, Matt? Pre-knowing what happens in that match, what are you thinking here?
It's going to be good. Not knowing, I think it's going to be. I think they're going to go hard. Those guys, because Brian, he's back, right? This is a big match for him. Like, and he's kind of guy that needs to be in the ring, so he'll give it its all. He's definitely a performer now. Like, I love the guy. He doesn't put on a bad match. He could have a great match just wearing the collar and fighting himself and no one else, the way he could sell. He's amazing. So I think this is huge. I think he carries a lot of weight, and he picks his opponents, or if he's allowed to pick it, and he picks good guys to work with. If he agreed and said, you know what, I want to work with Starks, so that says a lot about like a character or an athlete like Starks, because Bryan Danielson, he can make anyone look great, and he's going to be picky. He's not going to just go with anybody. So I think these are big matches, and I hope the guys appreciate being in a match with him. Because if you hear any guy they're talking to, even William Regal, when he fought Bryan Danielson once, and he was like in pain and hurting, and Bryan Danielson carried the whole match, right? So guys really appreciate his effort and the way he works. and his ability to carry a match and make a guy look amazing. So yeah, and then throw Ricky the Dragon in there. It's amazing there. That's great, to have him around for that. So I still think Danielson's going to win this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was obviously, to me anyway, I think he was brought in to replace, well, I guess it's pretty obvious he was brought in to replace Punk. I think that would have been Punk's spot had shit had not hit the fan. I think that's what they were setting up there. But yeah, I think he was rushed back, and I don't necessarily know if he's going to continue to stay on TV or if he takes a little bit more time off to continue recovering if he had to. If this was a Band-Aid, let's get a big name. We need a big name. We need to fill this hole. We had this going on with Punk. We can't use Punk. Let's get Brian back off the air so he can fully recover. Or are we going to see Punk or Brian, going forward every week?
It's the old bait and switch. Come in.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm here for it. Like I said, one arm. Next, we hit Mox with Words for Orange Cassidy, which were heavy. Talking about, like, the same speech has been done with everybody. I mean, we've heard it from Jericho, and it's the whole, you're going to have to try, You're going to have to actually show up. But when Moxley was saying it, he was hitting the truth of what's online, the cosplay wrestler comments and everything, and say, this is your chance to show up. It was vicious. I enjoyed it. It got me excited for that match right away. We get a little Acclaim taking on Daddy, Magic, Cool Hand Engine, Danny Garcia. Obvious, we knew who was winning that. But then get the... Yes.
Sorry, is Cool Hand Engine not the worst name in all of wrestling?
Yes.
No, it's not.
What's worse?
Bastion Booger.
Wow.
From this generation.
Oh, let's see. There's definitely worse. But...
McGillicuddy. What did they have, Hennick's son?
Michael McGillicuddy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, let's make it a tier. It's a tier of horrible names.
Taking Pete Dunne and turning him Butch.
Yes.
I like
That's
Butch
the
too.
one.
Actually, we talked about Luchasaurus too. Luchasaurus is a pretty bad name too.
Absolutely, I'm absolutely not. How dare you all?
I think Commander is so.
One's a Commander, one's a Viking. What do you want?
I think Commander could work if there was more of a gimmick to it, but like he just comes out in a cool white mask and white tights, and why is he called Commander? I don't even understand.
With a K though.
It's a top
It's
rope
a
Commander.
broken gimmick.
Top
Dusty
rope Commander.
Dusty will only get this one though. I mean, Rob Rage is probably the worst name.
Oh yeah, but that's a local. That's giving love to the locals. Speaking of Commander, next match on the show, after a couple more backstage segments building matches, you get Aussie Open versus Nick Wayne and Commander. I'm telling you, I'm getting hot on Aussie Open. It's just begun, and I'm getting hot on them. Listening to who they were, you got to listen to the Jericho podcast because Mark Davis went through some shit. The dude has been hurt so bad at the wrong times, and he gets this opportunity. If he can talk about what was going on 6 months ago on TV without offending other companies and make it the actual willing face, I have to, this is my opportunity, kind of what Ospreay did with Jericho's promo, I think there's something really good here. Kyle Fletcher's young. He's going to come his way to big stardom, but I enjoyed this nonetheless because you get the Aussie Open, Aussie, oi, oi, oi. You get Nick Wayne, and you get the great top rope technician Commander. Claudio Castagnoli, backstage. I have to bring this up because this thing had me reminiscing throughout the week. He takes Wheeler Yuta, looks at the camera, and says, You think you beat up Wheeler Yuta about Eddie Kingston? Hits him. Hits him again. We beat up Wheeler Yuta. He hits him with so many of them, and Wheeler just keeps getting back up. It was damn near comedy. I tried not to laugh at times, but when he took one of those European uppercuts, he was looking funny. How do you feel about Wheeler Yuta, Tank?
You know, I honestly feel like AEW in general is really good with building stories or building people to a point. But then once they get to that point in that character development or in that storyline, it feels like they don't know what the frick to do with that guy anymore. And it's happened in multiple occasions in multiple storylines. But they had the entire crowd chanting his name. And again, now I don't care if I see him on TV at all.
Yeah.
Like, he could be gone next week. It wouldn't matter.
That's fair. That's fair. How do you feel about the Worm, Dennis Rodman, next out to the ring?
Gimmick.
Oh, it's so gimmicky.
They had to show where the hard camera was. That was the best part. Is Tony's just getting mad because he's not looking at the hard camera at all.
But let me tell you, this entire little bit, man, Sanjay made me fall in love with him. Like, I think that's like his best work in his entire career. I've always kind of liked him, but I was never excited to see him. And for somebody who, I'm sorry if this is going to offend anybody, really doesn't like Double J, I was so upset when Double J came back. Like, why? Why is this guy being given another shot? Why is he on my TV? But I like the overall faction, and it's mostly based off of the back of Sanjay for me.
I'm gonna jump on that. Absolutely. Sanjay, there's no RJ City on the TV if Sanjay's not involved. I'm just gonna say that. He's the backstage producer. He's the one pushing RJ to get more time. That makes me happy. Sanjay and Jeff Jarrett are both doing so much work backstage that their camera time is just the gift for doing the work.
You know, I get a hand to, not to interrupt you, but like Jarrett ran a company.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, really went to head, and he's got that blood. Obviously, it runs in his veins. It's his family. So when a guy like that can go and then work in an organization like this and still, obviously contributing to the storylines, helping with the talent, and he's in great shape. I don't care what he says. Like, he looks amazing for his age, and he's moving. So, and he's a good storyteller. He's a good heel, and he still can make. I know, Tank, you disagree, but I think he's made himself relevant again. And I love the partnership of this mismatch of characters. You see, like, you would never see, like a cowboy with this giant Indian guy from India, like massive, right? And like just a combination of everything makes it a really kind of mismatch that sells. I like the bit of the comedy angle they do. And they have the old school. He has that old school heel mentality, right? That I think he's there to kind of also teach the young guys that old school NWA, that type of heel type of character. So I don't hate that he's there. He's good entertainment. I think they should throw the titles on them though.
I said that. That should have been. Did we not say this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
We absolutely did.
I thought it was the right time. It looked good on Jay Lethal, and I think Jeff coming to the ring, just walking out, he garners so much heat immediately. He knows how to piss with people to the point that they will boo against him, and he will use his past transgressions to get more heat. He knows how to do it within that smart mentality, not to the point that he's the worst human in the world, Christian Cage, which is awesome, but he's doing it his way, and I like that.
I think AEW has found a way with all these older wrestlers coming in. A lot of them you kind of grow out. I know we all probably have the same reaction to Billy Gunn, even Christian. Are you bringing these guys in? But Tony seems to know how to get the best out of all these guys, and I think Jeff Jarrett is just another example of a guy that he's gotten to work.
Except one Jeff. The other Jeff, I don't know what.
Even Jake the Snake. I'm surprised that Jake the Snake hasn't gotten over more. I always liked him. There's just nothing. There's
You know
nothing
what?
there.
He can't do as much.
I think that's Lance Archer. They don't really trust him. They don't really trust Lance Archer enough on TV, it seems. So Jake's not getting the TV time.
Yeah.
You never see Lance Archer.
I think he
Remove people.
if Jake was really at that point, I think he would be on TV no matter what. They could give him his own faction. But the thing about Jake is that guy, he's not long for this life. He's rolling with an oxygen tank constantly outside of any airport. I always fear for the legends. We lost a couple of them recently. So it's like, I don't know. I think he does what he wants to do. And I think Tony would let him do more if he wanted to do more. I think he likes the idea of having Lance, and whenever Lance is available, he'll go on TV. I really think that's just a Jake choice because he came out pretty nice. And it was nice to see him, and I loved having him there.
Did Serpentico work with him?
Serpentico can work with anybody in the entire operation.
See, there's a guy. I mean, if you ever did everyone kind of goes, "Oh, poor guy, he's a jobber." But the role of the jobber is, I mean, if you can be on TV and you can be put in, if you lose 90% of your matches, you're still getting paid. You're still out there and you're working, even though you're losing. But you're chosen to work with certain guys because you can put them over. So that's a talent in itself. I mean, look at the careers that some of the old school jobbers, like Steve Lombardi, Barry O, these guys, Mike Sharp, they were over and worked more. They worked sometimes more than the top guys. So they did the trade-off, going, look, I can work with these guys. You guys, I'll work. I don't care. I'll lose, and I'm still making money. I'm working every night. I'm making money. I might be losing, but I'm working.
No, like right? I'll back that up 100% as a local musician and like newer comic. Yeah, it would be for somebody like myself. It would literally be a dream come true if I could just make a living making music. Like I always tell people, like I don't need to be Drake. Like I wouldn't want to be Drake first off for a multitude of reasons. But
I'd be Drake. I'd be cool with it.
I'll take his pocketbook. I'll take that check. But but if I could just survive and not have to work a 9 to 5 and do what I love, sign me up. Sign me up now. I'll be the Brooklyn Brawler if I love wrestling. Like no problem. Like when I was a younger man, I may not think like that, but like now, like knowing what I know and where I am and all that, yeah, 100%. Serpentico it up. Put me under the mask. Let's go.
Because we don't see it, but you definitely there's a level of respect to be a top,
enhancement,
right? You have, because you're there. You have a talent to make people look good, which is huge, right? You can take the bumps well, because if you can take bumps well and make them look great, those are the key. You can learn the other stuff, but I think some of the key talent someone has that they look for right away is how quickly and how good you can take bumps. Because if you can take bumps, they can teach and make other people good. Just like why, if you guys watched the documentary on Kurt Angle, and that was one of the things that he said right away, why he thought Jim Ross wanted to sign him immediately, is he watched him. He goes, I had an arsenal. I have moves. I'm an Olympic athlete. I have, but what I wanted to do is make the other guys look good. And the fact that he learned and took bumps properly and well, JR was like, immediately, we're signing you. Because he can see if he's learned that quickly to do that, my God, you imagine if we actually teach him, especially when he has to put his, when he's actually has to do his moves. So that's, I think, a huge compliment to a wrestler, even though we look at it as like, oh, you're a jobber. But the role of a top jobber, I think there's a lot of responsibility there that we don't give enough credit for.
For sure, 100%. Guys like Dolph, even for his time, somebody like William Regal.
Oh, Jesus. The tank's gone down. He's been hit. Russia's invading, guys.
Good drop height on this phone. But William Regal, you're also being trusted very much by your company to put guys that are green that have like money signs attached to their name in your hands. Like we saw that go backwards with Goldberg and Regal, but Uh-oh,
Yeah.
I'm gone again.
Oh, Jesus.
There I am.
We'll come back for this trios women's match. Outcast, Britt Baker, Sheeta, Statlander, a little more pepper on the women division. You get Ruby pinning Baker. Chugga, 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 chugga. Here comes the push. Ruby's on her way. I'm telling you, she's never won her world championship. I'm just saying it.
What are we talking about? Sorry, I'm still filling with my finger.
Ruby, 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 Ruby,
Ruby Soho.
I mentioned this last time. I don't even think they're using her properly. I think she's way better than they're letting her do. I loved
think
some
it's
of those
coming.
promos early on with Britt when she first came over. She's doing some very, very good work. And I don't know if it's her, I don't know if it's the crowd, but for whatever reason, she hasn't got to the level in which I thought she was going to get to.
Well, she's getting there. I mean, I think these are big pushes right now, and she's winning matches. So I think your point, if it was a month ago or 2 months ago, for sure, but I think they've recognized that and they are giving her push now.
I think
you're going to see that.
I think we're also seeing multiple character developments on each one of the individual women. It's taking a bit of time. We're not going to get it right away. I mean, look at what Tony's done. That girl has come in with one idea. Now she's walking away with a whole nother idea, and it's over. It's over. So now you have multiple girls just sitting there. Soraya's got her title, so she's going to do her gimmick. You got Britt sitting there. But Ruby's the push. Ruby's the push right now. And I think it works against that. Then we go over to Powerhouse Hobbs doing powerhouse things. Then we go to the main event. And this one was fun. Had nothing to do with anything. A little bit of tease for what's coming. But it's Switchblade versus Dax Harwood. What a fun match. I would like to see the two of them go one-on-one. No interferences, nobody around, put them in a steel cage, and let's see what type of magic they could create. A lot of fun seeing it. Bullet Club,
I still don't. Do you want to be honest though? Switchblade still doesn't do it in the ring for me. I think he's still trying to work that slow New Japan style, where he's building for the same style where he's wrestling a 35-minute, like a 40-minute New Japan main event. But he's trying to crush that same style into a 15-minute match. I just still find him in the ring to be very boring and bland.
I think he hits hard. I think he gets put against a lot of top guys and they make him look better than he is. But I think getting used to American television is very different. And after the tag match with Juice, I really saw him come around to a different edge. I get it, though. He is trying to give you a mid-card New Japan pay-per-view quality match in 7 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
The thing about it is we've also seen Collision give a lot of time to that main event, and it's featured him. So that's 30 minutes he's involved, 7 to 10 minutes he's in ring. So, I mean, I'm going to dispute your statement. But we get the Bucks run in just to lead to the pay-per-view. Bucks and FTR versus Switchblade. Rock hard, Juice Robinson. And the Guns. I'll always put the guns up because I'm enjoying it. As we walk into the pay-per-view. Matt, you haven't watched the whole thing, but definitely some things you're going to have to go back on.
Yeah.
They start by addressing the strap match, and out comes Bryan Danielson, and he says the last strap match he was in, he loved that man.
Yeah, I heard that.
Whew. Starting off the pay-per-view with cutting onions, bud. Be easy. He doesn't even like you. Imagine what he will do to you. He's going to kick the shit out of you. I don't think you could start me getting hyper about a match without throwing Bryan Danielson at the start. We get an over-the-budget battle royal,
Oh,
which is so much fun. I like watching it with the family because we have a rule: everybody picks one. We just happens. I immediately pick our hometown hero, Sean Spears. And out he goes first. Oh, come on. 10, 10. And then dance, Danny dance.
yes, that was the best part. That was my favorite for an entire match.
Rolling, great. You walk out with Hangman Adam Page winning it. I think we knew that. I feel this is like something that's already happened, where he started off in a Rumble and won it, and then moved back up the ladder. Maybe we're getting
first eight. That's a callback to the first Double or Nothing. He won that surprise battle roll at the beginning to get the.
See, it's a callback. It's coming back. Women's 6-man. It's fun. I had my brother down from Edmonton. He saw Sky Blue for the first time. Rest of the trip, he had to check his IG to just see what she's posting. Sheesh. What a girl. I love Diamante and Mercedes Martinez here. I'm really liking them together. It makes sense. It leads for your tag team division, so I'm into it. Sky Blue was the star in the match for sure. You did get to see the kid with Athena Starks. Now, she's injured, so she's just there to build storyline, but kind of fun. I think there's a big future in that one, too. Then we go to the trios match. Jeff Jarrett, Satman Singh, Jay Lethal, Badass, Daddy Ass, and the Acclaimed. Yo, listen. We already talked about why we love them. Jeff Jarrett, Satman, and Jay Lethal. And I'm never a guy for the big guys. I think they've always gotten me since Giant Gonzalez. You can't be Andre. You can't be the Big Show. It's not often that it works.
Yeah.
But Satman Singh's growing on me. There's something about him that he's getting put into the right spot, and then even watching him fall over a rope makes me laugh hysterically. Him in coveralls.
Yeah.
There was actually one spot that whoever was directing didn't catch. I don't think it was definitely wasn't this show. It was one of the battle royals, and I think it was Lethal was about to get kicked out, and it was opposite the hard cam and just a little off to the left. They just happened to catch it, and they were doing the working to dump the guy out, kind of a thing. And Lethal was just about to go out, and Saddam just stood there, just put his arm out and
Caught him, yeah.
shoved it back
Yeah.
time. I was like, why don't they put more emphasis on stuff like that? Because that's so great. To your point about all of the big men, it really depends on their age and where they are in their agility. They all lose their knees at some point. They can't keep up with it. But even somebody like Big Show was pulling off drop kicks, head height drop kicks and stuff like that when he was a younger man. And then a lot of them by the end of it just got to pull themselves up by the ropes. So if he could lose maybe a little bit of weight, maybe I don't even know where somebody like me shouldn't be talking about that. But
well, I was gonna say for big men, to your point, Omos has in WWE had to, get in better shape. He had to learn. It's almost like you're right though. It's you can't just do it just for the sake of being a big man. Giant Kali, brutal.
So what you're telling me is Satman Singh and Amos is your absolute world-crushing Forbidden Door dream match?
I mean, to be honest with you, I love all the big men. So I love Omos. I'm probably his number one fan. So give me Omos versus anybody.
When it comes to big men, there is nobody better than Vader. It's a big Vader guy. was big my entire life. I was a chubby kid like my entire life. And seeing somebody like Vader who was like kicking ass, who was a badass, who was doing flips and backflips and stuff like that. He was the best big man for me personally.
Yeah. And early Big Boss Man.
Oh, early Bam Bam.
Nice.
And Bam
Give
Bam.
me some Bam Bam. Hell, King Kong Bundy could go.
Yeah.
King Kong Bundy could work.
Yokozuna number 1.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in on that. No discussion needed.
Sorry, who would have missed that?
Yoko.
Yoko.
Oh, Yoko.
A lot of people to rest in peace on that list. Let's go. The thing about after this match that really got to me was the Roosh and LFI piece. I got really excited. I love Roosh. I've loved Roosh. Everything he did in Mexico, I was in from the beginning.
Oh, I thought he was
love
gone.
Roosh.
Is he back? I thought he was gone.
So that's what this is leading. They did a video package of him getting sick and tired of losing, looking at his brother Jalistica and looking at Preston. And he basically said, there's no more losing. I put this together to be serious. I want this done. And then everybody was really feeding from it. I got really excited, and I was waiting for Andrade to walk in. And here we have the Prince of Production.
Speaking of walking in.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, brother.
My camera isn't working, unfortunately, but I'll be here by voice. So
perfect. Before we go forward, I want your take. Talk to me about Punk and how you feel in this moment.
Very disappointed. On everybody. Punk, Tony Khan, the Elite. Very disappointed. I think hopefully this is a rude awakening to Tony that he's got to be more like when this stuff happens, things have got to be. All this could have been avoided if there was some real leadership. I feel like. I don't know. It feels like more people in the company have more power than Tony has. So hopefully, if there's, hopefully this is a good thing going in the right direction. But
why are you like? Why wouldn't you expect Punk to be that leader? He was getting paid to do that. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I get your point of view, but. Is there any onus on Punk, or is there a disappointment in him?
All around, really. It really goes down to the person who owns AEW. And this is not the only fights they've had, where was it? Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker and all that
Eddie
whole
Kingston,
thing.
Sammy Andrade.
But I feel like for here on out, hopefully, I feel like Tony Khan's, I feel like he's learned a lot this year.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think he's learned a lot. So hopefully things will go in the right direction to prevent stuff like this from happening and it going so far like this. But yeah, I thought All In was really, really good. All Out was good.
We're walking through All Out right now. We just started up on All Out. So if you want to join in, we just finished with Daddy Ass and the Acclaim taking the W. Are you all right with the Acclaim still holding this for a little bit longer? Connor?
I don't think they should have lost them at All In. I think House of Black should have stayed champions, but I don't know, something different for the Acclaimed. Right now they really aren't as hot in the tag division because they've FTR's been on a whole nother level. I think their match with Bullet Club Gold really put them on another level. But I think I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I like the Satnam Singh and Dennis Rodman. I really wish that they would have done a basketball scene on the like how Matt Hardy and MVP. they would have at least had some type of, because many people know this, but Son of Singh was in the NBA,
Yes.
the Boston Celtics. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good match. I didn't really care too much for the Kieran Jarrett stuff, but overall, pretty decent match.
I think she garners heat. Like, useless. I don't want to see her on TV heat, but it's heat.
Yeah,
so after that match, we run right into the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. You got Better Than You, Baby, versus the Dark Order. Unexpected. Good match.
Dark Order.
Obvious who was winning this. Perfect for the gimmick. It's really to get their story over. I think that was pretty much determined when they made the Rumble and we saw who was winning that.
But is that a pay-per-view match, though? That's like a good Dynamite match.
But here's the thing, is you just lost the Chicago Saint, the only thing that matters in that city in a wrestling universe, right? How do you give back to Chicago, because Chicago and AEW are synonymous, as well as Punk and Chicago? We will hear that. But in this one, you had to spoil them. Bringing back Bryan Danielson, spoil them. Putting the tag team champions, MJF, on anything puts ass in seats for sure. And I think Chicago deserved to see Better Than You, Baby. They've got to build this storyline. Might as well do it in Chicago too. So it could have been against anyone. You could have put Chaos Project in there, and I'd have still been fine with it.
I really thought the Kingdom was going to end up going against them, but I think they're going to save that for potentially an ROH pay-per-view. I don't know, maybe MJF will do an ROH pay-per-view, but we'll see.
Earlier, Connor, I got a brain baby, and it was the whole idea of building it to one pay-per-view, and in the end, Roddy Strong being the one who takes the belt from MJF. Crazy.
Hey, he could do it.
But it could happen. And I could believe in it. It's quick, it's fun, it's weird, but I could see something happening there. Of course, they're still the ROH Tag Team Champions. Fun match, definitely worth the watch. We go to Joe and Shane Taylor next. It was an ROH match, so it worked. Shane Taylor definitely worked well with him. I liked Shane Taylor's trunks. I liked that he was wearing the MMA type shorts, the long basketball shorts. They were a better look than the tights and gave him a lot better optics for me.
Man, I wonder if they should put Keith Lee back with him.
I said that during the match. I said, why don't you just put them back together? Because
nothing's really working with Keith Lee right now, unfortunately.
This would work. Let them run through Ring of Honor and let them be a legitimate, like, they met each other and they were like, maybe. Well, let's do that again. I'd be fine with that. I'd like to see that. Of course, Joe wins. Sweet Tooth wins. You got to have it. I love Joe. One thing about that fight that really made me happy was hearing how Joe played middleman and talked Punk back into the ring. And that really gives me a lot more faith in the backstage Joe can give to the future of AEW. That's something that really made me happy.
You also forgot to mention the best part of that entire match, which was the entrance, where there's a callback to the NXT show where Joe pushed MJF when he was doing an extra security guard. Now as he's walking by, he pushes MJF.
Yeah,
I saw the TikTok replay. I didn't catch it during the show.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I didn't catch it during the show is before we go further in, I had a lot of difficulty watching this in one sitting. there was not a lot of time. I know Canada has Labor Day weekend, and I don't. Connor, did you guys have a holiday on Monday?
Yeah, we had a Labor Day.
It's also Labor Day in the
Labor
States.
Day's fully uneducated
Yep.
Canadians. But yeah, it was a lot of time spent with the family.
Mhm.
And I didn't have enough time to distribute to all of the wrestling that was on. We also had a WWE pay-per-view. Still haven't made my way all the way through that. Raw, I caught snippets and it seemed good. I'm going to have to watch that. But when you have all of this wrestling just after a pay-per-view weekend, holy cow, I really didn't know what was to come of this pay-per-view. If you didn't do it right, people were going to shit on it. They did it right. So far, the card has sounded good. You get Joe winning, continue him being a little badass that he is. Then you go to the one match that seemed to have the longest build for this pay-per-view, Darby versus Luchasaurus. Justin, tell me.
I mean, it was awesome. Luchasaurus, I think he's just good. The thing about Luchasaurus is like he's really not that big, but next to all these little guys, especially someone like Darby, like Luchasaurus looks huge. And then you put him beside like Billy Gunn, and you realize how small he is. But yeah, I mean, it was good. I really enjoyed the Christian character. Some of Christian's comments in the press conference, just phenomenal. Especially when he walks in and he asks all the media members how their dads are doing. Christian Luchasaurus are just the best. I'm glad. I actually thought Darby was going to win the title, especially in the light of all of this Phil drama. I thought maybe you have Darby win it and you can have, hey, this is the face of Collision with a title that's literally named after the network. But I'm definitely okay with Luchasaurus and Christian having the title still.
I love Christian. Like I brought this up last week. I love Christian's character. He's just kind of like it's Dr. Evil. Like he's getting over turtlenecks and his new thing about dead fathers. It's awesome. He's blowing up. And then I think he just got a new contract, didn't he? Was that what I saw?
Yeah, he announced that in the press conference too that he signed another long-term contract.
I definitely find that.
Let's pause for a second.
Yeah.
Christian re-signed another contract. We have time.
But he's not friends.
Oh, did you guys hear what he
He's
said?
he's not friends with that other guy though. He's not friends with that. His only friend is Luchasaurus. He said that.
It's good. But when he walks in the room, it's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
In the end, I kind of really liked seeing Lucha get the W here. Part of me was like, why? But then I'm like, what is Lucha doing wrong right now? The match was good. I mean, somebody else like Darby could carry him all day. Like, that's just the guy Darby is. But to put over Luchasaurus to let him get his run to see if he's big, I like that. Darby's a guy that's going to be around for a long time.
What's his actual finish? Because that finish, I don't know if that is like Lucha's actual finishing move or if that was just for that match rush to the end kind of a thing.
The multiple tombstones?
He finished it off with like a clothesline to the back of the head after like a succession of a couple moves. But there was the two tombstones, I think, that were like part of it.
So it's the big lariat from behind, right?
Yeah.
I always thought it was the choke slam, but once I saw the tombstones, I don't think. Well, no, he used to have the tail whip.
I mean, let's be honest. He doesn't wrestle enough for us to know any moves that he does. Let's just call it up for what it is.
Originally, his finisher was the tail whip, which was a spinning heel kick.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
right. It was. Yeah.
Like a black mask kind of a thing.
Yeah. But he's not doing that now because he
Because of
hits
the black.
30 friggin' tombstones.
To your point, Justin, I think he's just a very he's a slender guy, our buddy Switchblade there. But I think he is pretty tall. And the funny thing about Billy Gunn is Billy Gunn was a big guy in Atlanta Giants for the majority of his career.
Yep.
He never
Yep.
came off as big as he actually is. But the man is huge and thick. Where Luchasaurus is just tall.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So then we go to a match that really I got to talk about, boys. When we heard Miro was free, I thought of all of these matches in my head. I'm thinking Tomohiro Ishii. I'm thinking I want to see him go with everybody.
Oh my god.
And then we didn't. And then we see silly gimmicks. And I don't know what to think. Then the Redeemer comes out. And he's one hell of a promo. But we don't get the meat slapping meat. We don't get it. Until Hobbs. What a bloody match of hitting. I wanted this for so long. I don't know who he's been training with or who he's talking to, but Miro did it right. Hobbs can do it. We've seen Hobbs do it. But this was exactly what I needed. I love this match. Connor, what did you think? Miro and Hobbs.
I really liked that match. That was one of the matches I was looking forward to. Because that was one of the matches besides Darby and Source that was pretty much built up on Collision. I thought it was a really good match. They created a new division that night, the meat division that was created. Really good back and forth match. That's probably the best. Well, obviously the best Miro match since he's been back because he's only went against a couple jobbers. But I really like that match. I like how at the end they left it open to continue this story. So I really enjoyed that match.
Yeah, I felt the turn and the handshake game. I think we're getting that a little too much right now, but it worked here because it led to the future storyline. Lana makes her debut. Now, instead of embracing his sexy wife like he said on promos in the past, he looks at her horrified like there's a monster on an airplane. And he says, "You're not real. This motherfucker right now." That was a TikTok I saw. Sorry, guys. Sorry, my bad. I giggled when he said it. I'm confused. Are they pretending like his Redeemer promos where he was calling for his only one woman, his sexy wife? But then he acts like he doesn't know who she is. I don't know what they're doing here.
Oh,
Are
young
they
Dustin, I'm sorry to step on your toes there, but he did cut promos. I think it was when he came back from one of the many injuries where he renounced his God and he renounced his hot, flexible wife and no longer believes in either of them and is only doing what is best for Miro, as my camera slips down to show you guys my cleavage. And now that
Rock hard!
He's the best. And obviously, I think this was done to further play that there's going to be a little tension in between the two of them until they can rectify whatever they need to rectify. I think as long as she doesn't have to have a Russian accent, but as long as she's kept more on the quiet side, I think that would be best.
So,
I mean, I think it's best if she, on screen hooks up with Hobbs and they do that again.
yes! The Cuck storyline is back in action.
It wouldn't be the first time they did that either.
Hey, when they were going to shake hands, I really saw a tag team right there. I saw something that could work with them two, Miro and Hobbs. Like when at the end of the match they're going to shake hands, I really see something in that that Miro and Hobbs could do as a tag team, but that's definitely not the direction that they're going. But yeah,
I'm digging it. I'm starting to think. I'm like, Warjo versus Hobbs and Miro. That's a lot of meat. That's a lot of meat. I'm in. I like it.
The meat division, I like that.
Yeah. Now, the cool thing about this is the crowd was so bloody hot. They were lit and they would start chanting the weirdest things.
Meat forever. Meat forever.
Hell yes. My brother doesn't really watch. He's listening and he starts saying it and he thought he was being funny because he was saying something different. I'm like, no, that's what they're saying. He's like, they're actually calling meat forever? I'm like, hell yes. I liked how out of everybody through this pay-per-view, the crowd was in. They didn't have to be, but they were in. We saw Juanita in the front row. You saw every original fan back in the day all there, and they were into it. We'll see what the crowd does in the future matches. Next, we see Statlander and Ruby. What'd you think of it, Tank?
Really enjoying Stat's work since she's come back. And like I said, really enjoy Ruby as well. I think this is kind of just straightforward. I think we kind of knew where this is going. I'm going to be a little bit of the heel when I start talking about these girls' matches because I hate to say it because I like the individual characters and I like the girls' work, but I don't get super entertained by the matches.
This one caught me. It was Tony Storm's spot in it. I like where they're building. I laughed. Overall, I get it. I think the push for Soho, like I talked about prior, really gets stunted here, but it leads to character versus character. Let's see what Ruby's character does when she starts going after Storm fully. It's a waiting project. Certain matches get me. This one, off and on. I wasn't 100% committed, but I'm happy to see a women's match on the show. That would suck if there wasn't.
Would it?
The only show match on this card that would have sucked if it wasn't there is our next match. It was hands down the best strap match I've ever seen.
Yep.
It was hands down one of the greatest examples of how to put a younger talent over without giving them the victory. It was an example of why Bryan Danielson is the best wrestler alive. With one arm, this thing did things to me. There's this one point when they're covered in blood and the camera's right behind the ring post and it's watching them, but the pad is right here and you've got all of the pools of blood on the pad and it's offshooting to them just barely standing. When they start whipping each other with the strap, it's funny because the whole time I'm like, Bryan Danielson. But when you hear Bryan Danielson put over Ricky afterwards about how he carried him through the entire match, if that's the case, by God, Ricky, that was your best match to date.
He said he put him over? Like he carried him? That's what
He
Danielson
said Ricky carried him the entire match.
Really?
With a broken freaking arm.
Did he actually have is his arm still broken? Or does he still have a cast? I didn't see that. So
it's healing and they can't do certain moves with it, and he still performed as if it wasn't. It wasn't against doctor's orders, but he had a miniature cast on it, but you didn't notice it.
I mean, Danielson has said, like, he can adapt to any situation. I mean, when he was first forced to retire, he said he created an entire new style where he didn't have to take a single bump. So I think that guy is so creative enough where that guy could work through literally anything.
Yes. It helps that they were tied together with a strap. I was thinking about this throughout. And they didn't use the strap as if it was part of a gimmick, but it really was. It kept a leash so he couldn't go crazy. He can't do too many stupid dives. He can't do unpredictable things. They have to do certain moves to each other because at any time, if they slip up, they're all tangled up. Everything worked perfect. Connor, where were you on this?
We're on the women's match still.
No, Brian and Ricky.
Or what are we? Oh no, the Brian Danielson Ricky Starks. Yeah, that was a really good match. I thought Ricky Starks and Brian Danielson. Wow, Brian Daniels' first match back in a strap match. That was a pretty brutal strap match. And then I heard the press media scrum where, Brian Danielson's basically like he carried him through the entire match, and he described this in a way. Some young guys when like Brian Danielson can go pretty in the ring. Either they, how do I put it? They match that same energy, or they're too afraid to they can't, or I don't know how to put that. Brian Danielson said it in a way that I can't remember how he said it, but Ricky Starks basically like when Brian Danielson went hard, he went even harder. That was a pretty brutal. I don't know if anyone's seen Ricky Starks' back after the match. I look bad. Brian Danielson gets pretty bruised easy, especially in the chest. But I thought that was a really good match. Ricky Steamboat got physical a little bit. That was one of my favorite matches of the night. I really liked that match. That's probably one of my top 3 matches of the night.
I feel it's in running for conversation in the top 10 for match of the year. I feel like there was a lot of stuff done here. Another thing from here that was insane was when Dragon came out, he came out to that old WCW 1990s theme. That got me rolling. I was very into it. And then we got Final Countdown again.
No, I don't like it. I was very upset that he came out to it again because I wanted it to be a one-time thing because we were there.
That's fair. That's in a selfish frame of mind, but to share it with the world, the reason why he got it is, I guess, the fee drop because it went up after Forbidden Door in the streams by such a large margin that they were able to get it back at any time. So if we broke the stream abilities, we were there for it. I'm okay with that too.
And for the record, that sounds way older than the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least 80s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It might even be the 70s, to be honest.
Then the match ends with absolute choke out. Strap, choke, Ricky, choke. Oh my God, it was visually disturbing. He doesn't tap. Ricky Starks is a better man for having this match, and we'll see something in the future. I hope he learned a lot in this one. I feel like Ricky's getting a lot of rubs, and I'm hoping it really shows in his longevity. If it's not going to be an immediate reaction, I'm all right with it taking time. I just want it to be there. Next, we go on to Claudio and Yuta versus Shibata and Eddie Kingston. I don't know why I do know why it was put together. Maybe it makes more sense for another ROH pay-per-view, but I want to see Claudio and Eddie again, one-on-one. But it's
I
still
think I think you get that at Grand Slam. I think they're gonna they'll do the ROH title match in Grand Slam and let Eddie win the title in Long Island.
on
Is
All
Claudio
Out,
still is he still
No, on
the
the
champion?
Full Gear.
Claudio.
Is Claudio still the champion?
Not Full
Yeah.
Gear.
Yeah.
I said hey, do it at Grand Slam at the Arthur Ashe Stadium in Eddie Kingston's hometown.
And then he gets that title, leading to Dream to have one of his dream matches with a Japanese
Yes.
guy. I like it.
Yes.
I like it. Put the titles together, make it a joint title. I'm in. Either way, Blackpool Combat Club still winning. Next, we go into a match that we've been waiting a long time for. Takeshita versus Kenny Omega. By God, Kenny Omega. It was everything I thought it would be. I don't really think that there was much more to the story that could be said. I really liked the screwdriver being stabbed into the ring. I liked where it played into the match. That was fun. I still felt like I get mad when Kenny loses because I don't believe he can lose because of how he was built over in Japan. But it still feels weird when he does. But he's
he
also
was going to put him over.
Yes. It's been his boy for a long time. So we knew it was going to happen that way, but I still felt dirty about it, like had to go take a shower. Kenny lost that one.
Yeah, I love Kenny. Like I'm not shy to say whatsoever. I'm a complete elite guy. I love the Bucks, and I love Kenny. Anytime I see Kenny lose, yeah, it definitely fucking sucks. But I wanted to actually have this conversation with somebody a little while ago because it's not as relevant today. But with Takeshita, the entire point of going on excursion was to learn how to get over in a foreign crowd by yourself without getting any kind of a push. And they have pushed that guy from day one super hard. Even when he was losing, he was pushing guys to the limit. Commentary was going off about how good this guy is. He's such a prodigy, this and that, and this and the other. So I really feel like that they've like almost robbed him of the entire experience of what excursion is supposed to be and almost rushed his development. But in ring, he's amazing. Like, I really enjoy his work. There's something about that Blue Thunder Bomb, man. That is like the best looking move that has never won a match ever. And they got to start putting that over. They got to start taking that out of his arsenal because, again, it looks phenomenal, but they can't keep everybody popping out of it all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah. I find it hard to argue with any of your statements on Takeshita. I do feel he is rushed. I do want to say, like, for an excursion, times have changed. And when Tony lets people do excursions, you know it's just, I'm going to expose you to what money's going to look like. It's like with excursion to AEW, it's like going to BC or Michigan University on a tryout type basis, and they have the big parties. They bring you out in the hot cars, show you all the hot cheerleaders. Look what it's done to Ospreay. You don't think he's chomping at the bit?
You get here full time.
Oh my God, would he ever have fun and destroy this room?
Actually, what you were just talking about, you know what that reminded me of? Like near the end of the NHL season, when they start getting a couple AHL guys to call up, like if you work your ass off and you get here, this is what it could be. And it's a little bit of a reward for the work they did in the AHL as well.
Well, and even then, if we're going to play to the idea of hockey, that's changed to ridiculous levels because the kids are the ones getting those 8-year contracts now.
Yeah.
So times have
Not
changed in
awesome.
that market. Yes, I mean, there are the guys who have to grind their careers off and become those second and third liners on a playoff team or even go deeper. But by majority, these guys are going to get, like, there's only so much room on a roster. I think that plays to AEW too.
That's for sure. And that's why they should take advantage of these other shows they're getting and the fact that they have ROH. I think they need to move around more people, especially guys they want to heat up or try new gimmicks. Have somebody that you don't see on TV all the time go down to ROH. Like last time we were talking about Better Than You, baby, and you guys were saying that they'll never be seen on Honor Club. I think they should be seen on Honor Club. I don't know if they will or not. But what a better way to get more people to get eyes over there than to have your Dynamite stars go over there.
I can see it. I can see it happening. I mean, like Wolverine at a comic book store, he has 17 different titles. He's going to be everywhere. They got to market MJF, and he said he's ready to take the reins and become that locker room leader AEW needs. And I have a problem not believing everything he says when he talks.
Yeah, man. High tide raises all ships. If ROH is good, then AEW is going to be good as well, and vice versa.
Yes. And it makes me laugh because every time I say things like this and look at MJF and what he's doing and the brilliance that it is, the greatest trick the devil ever played was making you believe he didn't exist. He's literally doing it to us, and we can't stop loving it. Is that not amazing?
It really is.
Because he's literally saying it to your face, I'm the devil. Is there any devil worshippers? And people cheer.
Yeah, I was just about to say, as a face. And just the fact that he was literally the biggest heel in the company, and it didn't take more than like 3 segments to make him one of the biggest faces. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, when he actually has the catchphrase of like I'm your scumbag, that's awesome. Now it's like an affectionate term now, not an insult. He's embraced that. So he's still a scumbag, but he puts that twist on to make it into a face type of phrase, which is great.
And he's playing like a lovable, cheerful kind of guy. He's not playing like the anti-hero who's still being a scumbag or anything like that. He's all smiles. He's coming up to Adam Cole. He's like being like a completely different character than bad guy MJF.
Yes. And I think that's the game. So when he finally does, we know what type of asshole he is, but how long do you play good guy and it looks so good? Like
there's a documentary, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before because I'm an old man, so forgive me if I'm repeating stories. But it's like a 10-15 minute YouTube video by that guy Kenny Johnson or Kenny Johnson.
Yeah,
The MJF documentary is amazing. He just gets it. Like nobody else gets it to the level of MJF. He understands. Like even if you talk about other sports, like that guy that just understands how this all works, that's MJF. He understands every aspect of the storytelling, of the business, of the in-ring, of the character he's producing, of the nuance, how to put it into characters. He's too much.
Do it without destroying your body.
That's very true as well, because the majority of his work is on the mic. And then again, when he does do the in-ring work, it's arguably 4 to 5 stars almost every time.
Yes.
And is it the other guy carrying it, or is it him?
Nope. I think it's on MJF. I think he's that damn good, and he's been telling us for years.
Yep.
It's going to be, I think they're really building. So if whatever Adam Cole, those guys, whatever anyone turns on him, people are going to lose their minds, and he's going to be the biggest face when he gets the beat down. Because everyone's going to is he going to turn? Because he's so entertaining. People are finding him like lovable and adorable. And he's got this level now that if he's the one that gets double crossed, crowd's going to go crazy and go are going to be huge. He's going to be the biggest face if that happens.
Did they do what they did with Regal and just do the big switcheroo and then have MJF lead the Kingdom and Strong?
I thought about that. I made comment on that, but I like if I've got to have one of them go heel, I want it to be Adam Cole, only because I want to see more of what MJF is capable on a creative level. Like, what can his character do? Like, this is so different from what he's done, that what is he capable of?
What would you get if he just say he gets a beat down, the crowd goes nuts, Wardlow comes out to save him.
Oh, and it gets Wardlow over instantly.
And you know what?
Huge.
Wardlow needs it right now too. That's actually a pretty damn good idea.
I like it. I like it.
Because that's
I
when
think-
Wardlow was at his peak over
Yeah.
the fans as that bodyguard, the way his role. People loved him. And if you can go back, but now it's more of a face role. It's a little bit like, hey, like, I'm here to save my buddy. We're friends, and I think the crowd would go nuts if Wardlow came out. And
I think
if that's
whenever-
the angle they're going to do, that'd be kind of
I
cool.
think whenever Kyle O'Reilly returns, he's going to be inserted into that feud somehow, some way.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe. Well, I think they kind of replaced Bobby Fish because the Kingdom, so we don't need him.
Yeah.
But hopefully
Oh,
Kyle
Bobby
O'Reilly's
Fish.
back pretty soon, because I remember what was that series, the All Access. Him and Adam Cole was together. So I wonder how he would fit into all that. But what side would he go with Adam Cole? Would he go with the Kingdom? That's really interesting.
Yes. Yes. I like it all. I like it all. It'd be Undisputed Kingdom. Here's one that I thought was for the fans. Bullet Club Gold versus FTR and the most entertaining tag team of all time, the Young Bucks. By God, did they come out to some heat. Chicago, let me hear your voices. They have their own voice and they made it heard. They were so much fun in this match that it felt like they were an additional team. There were so many people that were conflicted in that room. I messaged my friend who was there, and I want to get where the reaction actually was from inside the room. Because on TV, it was difficult to really distinguish how much of a heated boo that was. Because there's a lot of Buck fans in the crowd. They put on the original All In. They lived through Chicago. Chicago has been the Bucks market. So Juanita goes to all of the shows. I met her on the cruise. I saw her sit in front row, so I gave her a quick message. Well, I will say that anytime someone tried to start the CM Punk chant, they were booed. But once the Bucks came out, it was a little divided. But I would say it leaned a little more towards siding with the Elite. That is straight from Juanita. Check her out on Instagram, WANEEDA. One of the biggest AEW fans there is. Travels to all of the big shows. I'm not sure if she made London, but she's at a lot of them. I will see her at the cruise. So Juanita, here's a shout out to you. So that being said, when I heard it on the TV, this really confused me, and I think it's because of the tones. You couldn't tell where that crowd was. Half the time they were going over on the Bucks, half the time they were hating them. But then every time FTR was involved, they popped. It was so much fun. The finish moves, grabbing each other's moves, I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I think they put over the right people in this. Justin, how did you feel watching this thing?
I mean, yeah, I kind of feel the same way. The crowd, yeah, as I said, you couldn't really tell who the crowd was cheering for, especially when we got to the "Oh, Cry Me a River" chant, which is my personal favorite, of course. But yeah, I mean, I think on the entire show, they got a lot of the winners right. And I have a perfect example when we get to the main event. So there's some telegraphing for you. That
I'm
was great.
completely shocked by that, but we'll get to that.
No,
Tank,
I have a very good example.
Okay, Tank, how did you feel about this thing?
I love the actual match. I think the Bucks kind of needed the win more than FTR did. FTR has been elevated and has been on that level for quite some time. The Bucks, if you really think about it, even since like the inception of the company, have only really been main eventers or in the forefront of the tag team division when they really needed them to be, and I don't think they've really been there for the last little while. I think FTR could have eaten the loss and still would have been rolling at that extremely high level, and it wouldn't have bothered them so much. But I think the Bucks, I think they should have went over personally.
I like the way it finished. I like the way you hit the big rig, breaks it up, hits the Blade Runner, done. The BTE trigger, that one had me rolling. I popped multiple times in this match when I think it was Matt Jackson hits the big rig with Dax. That had me going. Cash looked great. Juice looked great. Jay looked great. The Guns looked great. I think the right guys won this one. As we go to the next one, I didn't know how I felt about it. I watched it a couple hours ago, and I was like, why is this the main event? I kept saying, Orange starts the show. He puts you on a pace. Now I get it. This was an absolute bloodbath. Orange Cassidy took it to another level where he made Mox's blood look excellent. I don't think we understand what we just witnessed with this title run. Justin, how many was it?
I want to say 32.
I think it was 33, and this was number 34.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice 34.
So 33 title defenses successful. When anything was going wrong in AEW and we weren't really seeing it, what did we get every Dynamite? One hell of a banger out of Orange Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
It got stale at times, but it was a legit title run. I think in the longevity of AEW, we're going to remember this title run because how many times have we seen a title disgraced by the hot potato game? And
well, it did, it did legitimize this title being one of the newer, if not the newest title on the roster. And with Orange himself, he is one of the best baby faces in peril in all of wrestling. Even when he was on the Indies, there's a particular match, if you haven't seen, with him and David Starr that I really suggest everybody go out and look for. He is just like when he's, again, babyface in peril, when he's in that role and he gets to make his hot comeback after taking a beating for the majority of the match. He's one of the best to do it, man. He really, really is. And he's just a little undersized is like the only thing wrong with him. In-ring work is there. The promo work was there when you were talking about earlier with the Mox promo with him coming back. I'm Orange Cassidy and I don't have a catchphrase. Was all fantastic. He has a good look. I find the character to be honestly hilarious. He was another one. I watched one of those Kenny Johnson documentaries. And if you haven't seen it, he really explains why he became the character he was, because we touched briefly on how he was Fire Ant. When he was going around at the beginning, he was trying to be the cool guy, and then he started sitting back and realizing like every single wrestling indie show, there's always the guy who's trying to be Mr. Too Cool for School with the aviators and the collar up and the this and the that. And that entire character is a spoof of all of those douchebags in every wrestling arena that thought that they were the cool guy and thought they were too cool. And I just love the way he's tied it all in. Comedy aspects to the character are amazing. His in-ring is amazing. His mic work when he gets to do it is pretty damn good, very underrated, because it is a character that's better quiet.
Mm.
But yeah, this match was phenomenal.
So one thing, Matt, when Orange put his hands in his pocket in this match and he started kicking Mox, doing his gimmick kicks, right? Slow. All of a sudden, a look changed in his eyes. And he started kicking Moxley with everything he had. I'm upright. I'm grabbing the head. Holy shit. He's trying more than he ever has. This was vicious. Those kicks, Justin.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you why this. As I said, I'm probably the biggest Orange Cassidy fan in here. I think that is the greatest title run in the history of AEW. And I personally think Orange Cassidy is the most underrated wrestler on the planet. But here's why the finish worked. And this is the beautiful thing about professional wrestling. I watched it with my child, who Justin knows really loves Orange Cassidy. When he lost, she cried.
Yes.
She cried because Orange Cassidy lost. And that is the beauty of professional wrestling, because millions and millions of children watched that probably and had the same reaction. So when Orange Cassidy finally wins the AEW World title, it is going to be the greatest thing in the company history. Just based on the fact this moment right here is going to lead to that. And it's going to build a whole new generation of fans.
Wow. I would like to argue it. I don't believe it. Only reason I say I don't believe it is he never needed that title from start to finish. He made that title.
He was over day one, and he did make that title, to your point.
So him without a title still puts on bangers of matches, still does the same thing he's been doing. Let the titles work with the people that have them. I don't think he needs it. I think he had this huge title run, and a world title isn't necessary for him to still be remembered as one of the originals of AEW.
But truthfully, I don't think Mox needs it either. Now that we're talking about it and bringing it up, does Mox need the title? I don't think so.
I think that's going to be leading to where Mox goes with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Dream thing is coming. So why wouldn't you have Mox versus somebody from Japan for this title? Let him lose it. I mean, it makes sense. He would put over one of his Japanese dudes to take the international title there for a bit. I think that'd be awesome.
That's something I wanted to see from the beginning, actually, since they have these ties, is have one of the belts actually leave television, our television, for a little while.
What if it left until Wrestle Kingdom?
And the whole thing is like, who's going to be the one to bring it back? Who are we going to send over to Japan to bring our belt back? There could be a whole bunch of infeuding so they figure out who the proper contender could be. There's a lot of storyline that could be tied into that, and they never pulled the trigger.
The answer to who should be Moxley for that title is Shota Umino.
I love it. Give it to Shooter.
Would not complain.
Shooter.
I'm good with Shooter. In the end, Moxley takes that title, throws it over his shoulder. One of the coolest parts of this match was the beginning, where he had his hype team taped up Bryan Danielson. The boys just been through wars of their own, and they're calling him the best. They're saying, go get it, go get it. And he just throws it and heads in, right? I thought that was a cool touch, not bringing them out, just having the camera behind them, hype him, he takes over. I like that. I also liked that it was kind of the same thing for Orange, like it was some boxing match. Here comes the best friends with him. I'm like,
it was an MMA entrance. It was an MMA entrance.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I thought that was a great touch, and they put on a clinic. It was a main event of a pay-per-view quality match. And that is the fallout of All Out.
All right.
All in all, you had stakes so high on how this performed. The stakes were so high. You fail this, people are going to be mad. And I think sometimes we take for granted or forget how AEW does its pay-per-views, because they don't need a card. They don't need nothing. They just need the guys ready to go to war and entertain. The boys know how to do those things for us, the fans.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it?
It's a beautiful thing that you open the door and let them do their thing. And this is what happens. And I'm happy that we get to see it. I think back-to-back weeks was overkill, but I ain't mad. I'm not mad.
Yeah, I kind of hope next year they kind of. I know Tony's going to do it, but move All Out a little bit 2 weeks, because it's really hard paying $50 one week. Next week I'm paying another $50, which Tony said it wasn't possible to make a bundle, but they've done bundles for Fight. Isn't it for international fans or what is that they do for Fight?
No,
Fight
you are right. There was a
Fight.
A 2 pay-per-view bundle overseas, and it was Fight International.
So
what I think, from my understanding, well, for what Tony said is he said he couldn't get all of the pay-per-view providers to agree to it. So that's one of those things where you could have got Fight to agree to it, which you could have. But if you're talking about pay-per-view providers, DirecTV and, for example, Comcast, like they both, for you to do that, both Comcast and like they have to agree to that. And
TSN.
As me and Dusty, as someone who's worked for a cable company in the past, those feuds are not always easy to overcome when it comes to the different providers.
And we gotta hope that they get the AEW network, WB plus whatever, rolling by then to give us a better option. I know Tony's a spoiled kid that just wants to show off his toy collection, so I do not believe that he's trying to hold it back. I think there's a lot of yellow tape, red tape to get through. And I think the Warner Brother relationship is what will be the solve. So in 1 year's time, we have that availability.
I really think on Max, they should be able to do that, like a bundle on Max. I think that will be possible. I know they said that like right now the app is not ready for something like that, like live stuff going on. But in a year's time, that's a whole year.
Yeah.
So that would be a thing. But I really enjoyed All Out. I think the build for All In was really good. And MJF and Adam Cole was feuding before All In was even announced. So I'm curious to see what's it going to look like next year for All In a year's time.
I think a lot of the same guys are going to be there, so it should be fun. I think 1 year's time. By this time, it'll be Will Ospreay versus MJF.
I was just thinking that. I really was.
I'm all right with it.
I really hope that Pac's healthy be on the show.
Yeah, I would like that. Well, it's another week. A lot of wrestling to run through. We didn't really talk about other products. WWE did a pay-per-view. We said their product has been great. New Japan's doing what New Japan does. Impact is excellent. Crazy Steve, he's unbelievable right now. He did the documentary, the Impact documentary, and then he went on for a couple episodes for Cody Deaner's podcast, Wrestling His Life, and that's the one I want people to be paying attention to. It's a blind man, and he is so bloody good.
All right.
So this weekend, we do have one plug from my household. My boy is going to be wrestling in a tag match for CKPW here in St. Catharines. We've got a pretty easy week going. I know my boy Tank's got a bunch going on. I'm going to give a quick little plug here. Get to his Instagram, Tank Diggs. Hit it, like it, subscribe to his shit. We got some comedy shows. Tank, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, this if you're in the Woodbridge area on the 15th, I'm playing a little cafe, doing some comedy. It's actually really cool because one of the other guys, another comedian, is one of my better friends, one of my best friends. And it's his second show, and it's like my fifth or sixth show. So he saw me doing it, and he called me up. He's like, yo, I want to do it too. So he's got one show down under his belt, and this is going to be like his second. Truthfully, I've seen a lot of the other comics. It's probably the best lineup in my young comic career so far. The headliners are hilarious. So yeah, if you're in the area, pretty sure it's a free show. It's a Friday night. Come out, have some laughs. You could probably still go downtown and grab a bar by like 10:30 and grab some drinks. It should be a fun night. And the very next night, the 16th, I'm having a hip hop show, or I'm part of a show, music show in general. It's a bit of a mismatch of genres. My buddy's band, they're called Binge Ninja. They're going to be headlining with Blackout Orchestra. And there's a kid named Barry Cressman who does, I think it's pretty sure it's like folk music. And then my boy Thundercrab, check this out, does a comedy metal, and it's all basically toilet humor. It's pretty friggin' hilarious. And myself as well doing some hip hop. So it should be a fun show. I would love it if anybody's in the Toronto area that can hear their shit and come down and have some fun and enjoy the weekend.
And that Instagram is Tank Diggs. Justin, I want to plug your TikTok because you're starting some fun stuff.
Yeah,
it's not so heavy like the baseball stuff, but I mean, oh my gosh, I'm laughing. What's your TikTok handle?
I think it's Justin Drummond 28. But if you look up JD Positivity, I've just been having fun. I'm posting some vlogs. I did a vlog. I went to Guns N' Roses on Sunday. I did one a few weeks ago from the Impact show. Yeah. Sometimes I just go for walks and just rant for 8 minutes. Just trying to have some fun.
And that's
life's too short to not have fun. Yeah.
We love to see it. I'm enjoying it, so keep that up. Maddie, do you got anything going on, brother?
I have something unrelated to wrestling, but if you guys are into Star Wars fans at all, I actually do Star Wars action figure photography.
Yes,
which is nice. So my handle on Instagram is Star Wars Figure Art. So
nice.
You can check out. That's my other passion. my other passion.
I'm impressed. I like it. I enjoy that. I'm impressed that you got that handle too. Jesus,
right?
That's an accomplishment on its own. Connor, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. This is the first time I said this, but the more I see Christian Cage, Matt, you remind me so much of Christian Cage. The facial look. Just not noticing that, but the look, I don't know, something about you. You give off those Christian Cage vibes.
Matt, for the love of God, please go buy a turtleneck and cut the sleeves off for next week, please. Can you please do that?
I'm thinking
please.
about it. You know what? So Connor, he's Orangeville, right from where I am. Orangeville is about half an hour from where I am, so it's not that far. Where he grew up and where I grew up.
Yeah, I've done some drives up that way. There's not much there. Nice to see somebody out of Orangeville get out.
Yeah. There's more in Orangeville now than there used to be. That's for sure, though. It's a small town, but there's definitely.
Yeah.
They have
Absolutely
McDonald's.
the truth. So we've got everybody else on the other channels. Please check out our buddies over at Talking Elite. The watch-alongs are fun. I definitely want to make some more appearance, as well as Tank wants to make a jump over. We're going to have to invade. Boys, if you ever get the chance, let's jump in and take it over. Connor, it's always a pleasure. Signing off. AEZ. Hope
Have a
you
good
don't have
weekend,
any
guys.
dead dads out there.